Alright guys, how's it going? James here from Butler Farms, and I'm coming to you today from somewhere that you normally don't see me, which is inside. That's okay, because I have been inside putting up some of the harvest that we've been getting. Now, as you know from one of my former videos, we took a little break, took a little vacation as a family. It was needed. Had a good time, got to spend a lot of quality time with my kids and my wife and some of her family that went with us. But coming back, I knew there was going to be a lot of work to do to get everything back in shape, not just the grass and everything that's gotten out of control since we've been gone, but we have had a little rain. With the sunshine and all the rain that we've been having, everything's booming, including the garden. It kind of got away from me a little bit, as it has most of the year. Made several mistakes in the garden this year. The summer job that I took did not help. It was right in the middle of when I needed to be taking care of business, and I needed to do it. It was to help my family later on. But at the same time, it's cost us a little bit on production and cost us a little bit on harvest. So everything that we get this year, we're being real careful to try to put up and to do what we need to do to be able to preserve it so that we have it. We do have some things still canned and everything from seasons past, and if you can it correctly, it'll last for years. You don't have to say, oh, I've got to get it, I've got to eat this up in the next 12 months. No, guys, we eat stuff that's been canned for 3, 4, and I probably shouldn't say it on here, even 5 years sometimes. And as long as that seal's good, it's good. We keep it put up so that it's not in light, it's not in extreme temperatures, and it lasts. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about a little bit today, just what I'm doing. Now, I was going to do a regular canning video. Still having trouble with my camera people. They're not real interested in filming me canning tomatoes. Maybe sometime in the future we'll get around to that. But I was going to show you, just for those of you that are getting started and thinking, hey, this is something I may need to do, that I would like to get into. If you want more detailed canning videos, guys, same YouTube channels I always tell you about. Get down to Harmon Homestead. She's got several canning videos, many actually, canning different things, some hot water bath, some pressure canning. Get down to Deep South Homestead. Miss Wanda's got a whole playlist on all different kinds of stuff that she's canning. So just, you know, take advantage of those for now. I'll try to get one up in the future, but there's a ton of them out there. I just want to go over the basics with you today. For those of you that are just kind of getting into this space and thinking, okay, now I've taken their advice, I've grown some of my stuff, and I can't eat it as fast as, I mean, look at what's left over of, guys, this is just what's left over of my cherry tomatoes that I got yesterday. It was up to about right here. I'll tell you in a different video what I'm doing with those. But you got to do something with them. And what we do here with our tomatoes is can them. And you can do hot water bath canning, and that's what I'm going to touch on today for just a couple of minutes. Those of you that are kind of just getting into this space now, some things have to be pressure canned. Things that are low acid, you're going to have to pressure can them. Tomatoes are one thing that I can hot water bath canning because I acidify them before I can them. Okay, now I have a pressure cooker, a pressure canner I should say, and a lot of people, when they get into this space, they start looking for like these certain brands of pressure canners, and trust me, I would love to have an all-American canner and all the different things. I can't afford it right now. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've got a Presto canner that I've had for years. I paid way under $100 for it. I think I even caught it on sale, and it has worked perfectly. Now, is it the same quality as like an All-American? No, but it does what I need it to do. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about, in this case, the simplest of canning, which is hot water bath canning, okay? Pressure canning is a little bit more advanced, I would say, or it was for me to learn, but let's just talk about some of the things that you need, that you can get pretty cheaply, that will get you started in being able to hot water bath can. Okay, so let me turn you around here, and let me say first, to get a really good canning book, I've got many Ball canning books, B-A-L-L, the same people that make the jars, and as you can, well, I don't guess it's going to, yeah, makes the lids that I use. Guys, it's very important that you do that. You can also go, I don't know the exact name right. It's from the University of Georgia Home Preservation. I don't remember that. Just look it up. And they've got all the different recipes and how long they have to be canned and everything else. Okay, so when I first started, this is the hot water bath canner that I grew up with. This is my mother's, and she doesn't can anymore. And this thing, I just turned 49, and this thing is probably as old as I am, to be honest with you, and it's still in perfectly good shape. Now the rack in the bottom, yeah, it's probably past its prime. It's a little rusty down in there. I still use it from time to time, but it's probably a little past its prime. This one over here is a lady that I taught with that she was getting ready to retire. She and her husband were going to move, and she knew I was into this kind of thing, and she gave me tons of canning stuff, including this big hot water bath pot, plus another pressure canner that I still haven't used because I'm still using mine, but I've got it as a backup. So, you know, if you've got family members that used to do this that don't have it anymore, you might can get into this space without having to purchase a lot. Now, one thing I like about the one on the left, see how much taller it is? This one, when you put quartz in it and get enough water to cover the tops, which we'll go into later when in a different video when I actually tell you how to can, it gets so close to the top that it sloshes over while it's canning, makes a big mess, those kind of things. So I don't use this one much anymore. I've gone to this one, and believe it or not, that little bit of about 2-inch space makes all the difference in the world. So you're going to need a big pot, and you notice that they come with a rack. This one has a rack too. These will hold 7 quart jars, 1 in the middle and 6 around the side. You can see that the rack, you can hang it on the side. I don't. I leave it in the bottom even as I'm putting my jars in, and it does several things. It keeps them separated out from each other, but it also keeps them off the bottom. You don't ever want to can by setting your jar directly on the bottom of the pot. Okay, so even though it's sitting on that one little wire going around there, that's enough to keep space between the jar and the bottom. You got to have that. So this keeps them separated, it keeps them off the bottom, and you can very carefully use those 2 handles and hang it on the side. I do not, okay? It's not worth me getting boiling water sloshed all over me. It's also going to need a good lid on it, which when you buy one of these, they will come with that. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now you're also going to need some tools. They are not, some of these are not necessities, some of them are. Of course, first thing you're going to need is some good mason jars. This one is actually a Kerr. I use Ball, I use Golden Harvest, just use quality stuff. You can get some in these dollar stores that don't even have a name on them. I'm not trusting my food to that. I work too hard, and it's too much of a process to get them canned to have them bust in the canner, and that has happened before, and it's usually the lower quality jars. Again, if you have somebody in your past that used to do this, more than likely they've kept their jars. Very few people get rid of them. And here in the Deep South, I can put out the word at church or something, hey, I'm looking for some canning jars, and I guarantee you I will have some of the older ladies in church say, yeah, I've got 20 or 50 or 100 in here that I hadn't canned in 20 years. If you'll come get them, you can have them, because their kids don't care anything about it. And so I doubt I've bought very many of these at all. So you're going to need some jars. In this case, these are quart jars, and if you take care of them, even if you do have to buy them, if you take care of them, they will last. Some of these jars, I don't even know. Like I said, some of them I got from my mother, some of them I got from my father-in-law, from his place when he passed away. I've gotten some from ladies at church that no telling how old they are. Some of them aren't even made anymore, but yet I still use them. So if you take care of them, and of course you always want to check the rim, make sure they hadn't chipped. If they do, get rid of them. That's not, don't go down that road. But if you take care of them and keep them put up when they're empty, so they don't get banged around, you're going to be fine. Now, when I first started canning, I went and bought a little kit, a little canning kit. This also comes from Ball, and I know I'm using their name a lot, but they are kind of the big kahuna when it comes to canning. It comes with a funnel that will sit perfectly in those jars. That helps a lot. And this little tool is pretty nifty. Now on this end, you're going to have, in my video to come, you're going to hear a term called headspace. And this is a measuring tool for headspace. There's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, so on and so forth. This end is used to debubble. Okay, once you get everything packed in there and get it full of water, you can't just put the top on it and put it in the canner. You've got to run this down the side and debubble and get all that air out of there, and then fill the water back up again to fill that void to the proper headspace. Okay, so I usually, with my tomatoes, I use a 1/2 inch headspace, so about, or 1/4 inch, sorry, about that high. Okay, and once you debubble, that water's going to go down. You're going to have to add some more. So this serves many purposes. I've had it for years and years and years, and it's still in really good shape. Excuse me. You're going to have some lids. Now, I am very particular about my lids. These are ball lids. Now, during the pandemic, they became very, very hard to find. I was able to find some Golden Harvest. I have used those. And a lot of people that I see on YouTube and other places use a company called 4 Jars. I have never used them. They say they're very good, have good results with them. I don't know. But I try to stay with, with ball. When they did start coming on the market after what I dealt with during the pandemic, I bought them in mass, okay, and they sit up in the top of my pantry. They will not go bad. They don't have a shelf life to them, but you can see they're metal throughout, and then they've got this seal around here. And during the canning process, that's what's going to actually seal to the top of the jar, okay? So, like that. Now, you're also going to need some rings. Sometimes you can buy a kit that comes not only with these, but with these also. Excuse the dirty dishes, I just got through canning, so there's dishes everywhere. And this is what you're actually going to screw onto the jar that will lock that lid in place to go into the canner, okay? You can't just set the lid on there, you've got to lock it down. And of course, that's what it's going to look like when you put it in. These have already been processed, and now you can see that the ring is no longer on it. And I'm not going to do this too terribly much, but you can see that it's sealed, okay? That gasket has sealed down to the top of that jar. Now, other than that, you really don't need a lot of specialized things for hot water bath canning. I do keep canning salt. I keep bottled lemon juice for doing tomatoes. I'll talk about that in the next video. But as far as like going out and buying hundreds of dollars worth of equipment, no. By the way, this is a jar holder. I missed this one a while ago. It simply, you are going to want something to take those jars out of that boiling water when it's time after you get through canning. Trust me, you'll touch one of those jars one time with your hand and you will not forget it. But very convenient tool. I've got my mother's, this is mine, and I've used this one probably for a decade, and it looks brand new, okay? So these things last if you take care of them. I think the kit was like 10 bucks total back in the day. Jars around here are about $12 or $13 a dozen right now. So you can get into this space pretty cheaply, and it's well worth it. These tomatoes, they won't last that long, but we've used tomatoes that are 4, 5, 6 years old in the jars, and as long as they haven't popped that seal, you see that will not push down. As long as they haven't popped that seal, they're good to go. All right, I'm gonna leave it right there for now. Just a little basic overview of just getting started with hot water bath canning, the simplest kind of canning there is. And in the next video, I will come back and kind of show you what I did with those tomatoes and kind of take you through the process. All right, so I'm gonna leave it right there for now and get some of this stuff cleaned up, and I'll see you next time. God bless. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. This is James from Butler Farms, and we'll be seeing you.